Good evening and welcome to Home Park. Tonight, Argyle go in search of their second win in a row, and if they do, they will get back inside the playoff places with just 11 games to go. Hello, good evening and welcome to Argyle TV. I am Erin Black and we are here tonight to see Argyle take on AFC Wimbledon at Home Park. Joining me this evening is none other than Ian Stonebridge. Hi Ian, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, yeah.
Back
good.
Again, this is like whirlwind, two trips in 48 hours.
Real
something
privilege,
like that.
yeah.
Well, it's nice to have you back. And we're here for possibly the first evening home, or at least my first evening home game in quite a while. Different atmosphere, isn't it, tonight, really?
I think they always are a little bit special. I'm not sure what it is about it. As a player, I don't think I enjoyed the evening game so much, where you've got a whole day to kind of wait until you get that kind of nervous energy that builds up. Once you're here and on the pitch, it's fantastic. But yeah, through the day, it can be a little bit of a drag.
Yeah, I've never actually thought about that before. I mean, it's great for the fans because you do get that nighttime atmosphere,
Sure.
and it's quite fun. It's something to look forward to. But I suppose if you are a player, there is that element of nervousness. What kind of things do you tend to do as players to try and ease those nerves for an end of the day match?
Yeah, I think it can vary. So some teams might have players in on the day of a game to have just a light loosener or to work on set pieces. Some final tactical information. Otherwise, it would probably be just resting, making sure you get your nutrition right. Although there's a lot more better information about that these days than when I was playing. But yeah, really it's just kind of, I guess, taking your mind off things, making sure you can relax and be in the right frame of mind come the evening.
And coming into this game tonight, Argyle, of course, already winning their last game here at Home Park. This is a good chance for them to make up some ground. Yeah,
it definitely is. As you already mentioned, it's we get a chance to go into those playoff places with a win tonight, regardless of what Sunderland are doing, even though they're playing as well. And I think that would really kind of put a marker down for those other teams, just to let them know that Argyle are still in the hunt for this and are right on their tails.
Yeah, I mean, we saw at the beginning of the season, Argyle obviously had that really fantastic run, and now they've had another win. It will probably be nice for them to start building up the momentum. Will it be important to try and generate that momentum, particularly now while they're coming into the kind of final 10 games of the season?
I totally agree. I think when you look at the run-in in terms of the fixtures that we've got there, it's quite a formidable set of teams we've got to go up against, teams that are in and around us and towards the top of the league. So, it's really important, without disrespecting Wimbledon to any degree at all, it's really important that these games we pick up those 3 points to make sure that we're in the best possible position going into that really tough run-in that we've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose having the game here at home like it was on Tuesday, and like they've got a couple more games at home as well for the rest of the month, that probably will help make up the difference, won't it? Because we've spoken before about how far Argyle have to travel to play some of their fixtures, so having that atmosphere and that energy at home is probably really going to help them.
I think it does, and I think we'll talk some more about the game on Saturday, I'm sure, but getting that result was really crucial. Regardless of the performance, I think it's getting those 2 goals, I think, in the first half really settled the nerves, and hopefully they can go on from that. I'm sure there'll be things that they want to improve on from Saturday's game, despite getting that good result.
Yeah, fantastic. We're going to get some team news in just a moment, so you can find out who exactly is starting this evening. And Argyle will be looking to make a back-to-back victory this evening after an impressive 2-0 win over Morecambe just 4 days ago.
That was good to get the 3 points, especially after the last 2 results that we've had. I mean, it was important to start this month well, and we have done. So yeah, it was a tough game, even though a 2-0 scoreline might say that it wasn't, but it was. We were comfortable in possession, but they still had a few chances as well. So yeah, another 3 on the board and we move on.
You always know games against sides battling at the bottom are going to be tough, and sides managed by Derek Adams as well. But to do it in that sort of manner and kind of keep a clean sheet, look fairly comfortable. How pleased are you with that?
Get loads of positives from that. As you said, Derek Adams' sides are always well organised. They're defensively pretty good, so we had to be patient and try and break it down. Getting an early goal helped. It was a great goal as well. Barumi put a lovely ball in and another wing back in on the back post again, so that was great. And then 2-0 at half time, yeah, good cushion, but we just said to the players at half time we need to keep our foot on the gas. Don't let the tempo drop, because if it did, then they only take one little half chance for them in the back in the game and everyone starts getting nervous. They had a couple of breaks, especially late on, where we looked really comfortable, and Michael's had to make some good saves, which we didn't really want. We didn't feel as though we were under any sort of threat, but the chances come from nothing and it could have been different.
You mentioned a wing back getting the header. We used to see Joe do that. Connor with a towering one at the back post. It was a great goal, wasn't it?
I think that's the first time Connor's headed the ball since he was about 9.
But a bad way to start.
Yeah, but no, it was a great goal. Lovely little move, something that looks like a type of goal that we like to score. So it was good, well worked, lovely stand-up ball, and yeah, he was in on the back post and was brave. Wow.
Great. And then the second one, I'm still not quite sure. Ryan seems pretty confident he touched it. Has he said anything?
No, but knowing Ryan, I know he'll have said he definitely touched it. But again, it was a brilliant delivery. Danny put the ball in, yeah. A lovely little move down that left-hand side, and I thought the 3 of them, Connor, Danny and Maka, were brilliant down that side today. They caused Morecambe loads of problems. It was a lovely ball in by Dan. And yeah, strikers as they do will probably claim it. But yeah, good, pleasing to get the win, get the 3 points, and yeah, we're looking forward to Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's about continuing that into Tuesday, isn't it? We took the good bits out of Saturday last week into today, take the good bits again from today into Tuesday, and just keep that ball rolling.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, it's the last bit, the final stretch of the season, critical to get off to a good start in March. Try and get that momentum going, try and get ourselves still in the playoff mix. In what could have been a bit of a banana skin today, there was a bit of a weird atmosphere today in the ground. It wasn't. We missed the fella who usually bangs the drum. He wasn't here, so it sounded a bit quiet. And maybe the fans just expected us to win the game, but I say that them games are tough, and credit to the players for putting a professional performance.
It was a decent enough performance there, wasn't it, Ian, without it maybe necessarily being Argyle's best?
Yeah, I thought there was some really good play in the first half, and particularly the way they created the 2 goals was really impressive. They'll want, I'm sure, to try and have some more sustained spells in the game where they're not just dominating possession but also creating good quality chances as well. So yeah, it was great to see them create those 2 goals, but I'm sure they'll want to kick on from that and do a bit more than that this evening.
Does it matter how well you're playing at this stage of the season, or is it just getting the results that are more important?
I think it's that score sheet at the end of the game that is clearly vital, but I'm sure teams would argue that if their performances are where they want them to be, there's hopefully more chance that they're going to get those results that they need as well. So, from Argyle's perspective, I think there was some good possession play in that first half in particular, but more incision, more creativity perhaps will be what they're looking for from tonight's game.
Yeah, I suppose if you think about it in terms of the points that you get at the end of the day, obviously they are fantastic, but I would imagine that being able to have a good solid performance and lots of nice goals, that is kind of what will help morale for the team, knowing that they perform well and feeling good about what they've put in.
Yeah, definitely. I think, expectations around the game on Saturday were probably quite high. I think it was a game that Argyle were expected to win, and sometimes that doesn't go to plan. So I think it was, first of all, it's great that they got that result.
Yeah.
From the attack, from the attacking point of view, it's great they scored 2 goals. Defenders and Mike Cooper will be delighted with that clean sheet, and that's something that they can really take from the game, as much as maybe the performance wasn't quite firing on all cylinders for the whole 90 minutes.
Yeah.
It gives them something to take into into this game against
Yeah.
Wimbledon tonight.
And like you said, picking up on those clean sheets as well. And we've got to mention Mike Cooper. We mentioned him on Saturday afternoon, but very quickly, tonight will be his 100th game as a Green. Hopefully he'll, I guess, ideally be looking to continue those clean sheets as well tonight.
Yeah, it's a brilliant milestone. It's great for the club. It's great for Mike. Brilliant for the academy as well to have players that are coming through and staying in the first team, and that's it's brilliant for the future, and it's brilliant for the city, I think, as a whole. Mike's mind, I'm sure, will be just focused on, once he gets on that pitch, another clean sheet tonight, along with his back three and the other defenders.
Yeah, and when you get on a good run, like Argyle have already seen this season, and like hopefully they might be able to continue tonight, how does that affect the side?
I think that we already mentioned the word momentum, and I think that's really key, and getting into that winning habit is really crucial, and I think it drives expectations around the camp. So as a management team, the coaching staff and the players, when you get used to winning, you start to set standards really high, and they'll be looking to maintain them, and we've already mentioned the importance, if Argyles have designs on getting promoted this season, they're going to need that momentum, and they're going to need those high standards throughout the rest of this season. So that's going to be crucial for them to maintain. And
in reference to those clean sheets that we just spoken about, I can see here that is 6 clean sheets in 12 home games so far this season. So you just reiterate again how important it is for Mike and the defence and the team as the whole to kind of have that record.
Ultimately, it really gives you that base to work from. So, if you can be confident that you're keeping things tight at the back, that getting just the 1 goal or 2 goals is going to be enough to get a result, more often than not. And that's something that I think is, we talked about confidence, we talked about the momentum, all of these things can kind of feed into that, and keeping those clean sheets is a vital part of it.
And what would you say, in your opinion, having been here before, is the key for getting a strong finish to the season?
Yeah, I think the maintaining those standards, the squad will play a part as well. So, we've already seen throughout this season different players come to the fore at different points in the season, and I think it's fairly clear to see that they've got better strength in depth in key positions this year, perhaps than we had at this time last year. So it'll be vital that players that maybe not in the first team and playing in the starting 11 every week at the moment, they will probably still have a really big part to play come the end of the season. So I think it's really important that they appreciate that, and the management staff, despite not being in the team every week, that's really important. I think Ryan Broom is a great example of that, where someone who's not been starting loads of games in recent times, came into the starting 11 on Saturday, and I thought was put on a really strong performance. He was running, non-stop right the way through, and it was part of that helped him create the first goal. So that was great. Yeah,
definitely worth mentioning him, because like you said, he hasn't been starting recently, and I'm sure now that he's had last Saturday's game and tonight's game, he'll be looking to continue that, and we'll be able to see how that pans out as well when we have a little look at the team selected for tonight. So we'll bring that up on screen so you can see, and it is as follows. We've got Mike Cooper in goal, making his 100th appearance. James Bolton, Macaulay Gillespie, Jordan Houghton, James Wilson, Ryan Broom, Joe Edwards, Ryan Hardy, Danny Mayer, Niall Ennis, Conor Grant, and then on the bench we see the likes of Jordan Garrick even, don't know who Jordan Garrick is, but he sounds like he would make a good asset to the team. Adam Randall, Panucci Kamara, and then Luke Jeffcott on the bench. So he's swapped with Niall from the last game that we've seen.
Yeah, I guess first thing to say is, Ryan Broom retaining his position in midfield.
Yeah.
Perhaps it was a surprise to see him in the starting 11 on Saturday, but I don't think it's a surprise after his performance to see him retain that position tonight. So, he'll be looking to put in another energetic performance. And Niall Ennis coming in for Luke Jeffcott up front. We've seen plenty of rotation of those strikers, right through the season, but in recent games as well. And I think, what the management team will be looking at is, they'll pay attention to strengths and weaknesses in the opposition, and they'll perhaps look at the mix of qualities that the strikers bring. And tonight they've decided, obviously, Niall Ennis and Ryan Hardy is the pairing that they hope will do that from the start of the game.
Yeah, and we quite often talk about the strikers when we have these discussions before the game, but one of the players that we haven't necessarily talked too much about previously is James Bolton. And how do you think he's been seeing he's come onto the side?
I think it's been fantastic. I think the first thing to say is it's really admirable the way he's come into the team after being out injured for so long, and trying to replace Dan Scarr, who's been a real mainstay at the back for Argyle since he signed last summer. So they were big boots to fill, and I think he's done that really, really well. And maybe being in the middle of a back three is not his most natural position, but I think we've seen some really good qualities. There's no doubt he's competed for headers and done the defending side of his job well, but I've also been really impressed with the way he's been instrumental in Argyle developing possession from the back. So his quality on the ball, this was noticeable I think in the second half on Saturday.
Yeah.
When the ball was being cleared by the opposition, he was picking it up and able to maintain the momentum going forward for Argyle. So I think he's been a real plus.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to say it's easy to forget because it's not, but when you have such a strong team to choose from, it is easy to forget that you've got the likes of Scar and Brendan Galloway, who 2 regulars, and they've been out injured for quite a few games now, but it doesn't, while on paper it may have seemed that it would be a detriment to the side, it hasn't seemed to have that effect, has it?
No, and I think that really says a lot about the strength of the squad and the quality of the recruitment that the club completed last summer. At this time last year there were some games where it was a real struggle, and the side was certainly lacking in certain qualities.
Yeah.
And from what we can tell so far this season, the players that have come in have really made a difference in that respect. And I think, like you said, it's really impressive that despite losing some really key players to injury, we've been able to maintain a really good run, and it's full credit to players like Macaulay Gillespie, who's in lots of ways replaced Brendan Galloway, and James Bolton, who's where Dan Scarr was, and it's credit to them that they've done that so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And another player that we need to mention, of course, Danny Mayer, seems to be playing his best football lately. I think one of the ways you can tell when someone's doing well on the pitch is when the Devonport end start singing or chanting your name, and he's been doing really well in recent games. What do you make of how he's been playing lately? Yeah,
he's a joy to watch. Quite simply, that people will pay money to come and watch him, and he'll be a big reason why Argyle's crowds are swelling to the size that they are at the moment. I think we're seeing him express himself on the ball. He's been creative, and it's really important in every game that Argyle find a way to get the ball to him. And I think certainly first half on Saturday we did that really well. There was quite a nasty collision that he had, I think, and after that I felt he was a little bit subdued. He made a great run and tackle on that same player that I think he collided with. We won't say any more about that, but a brilliant tackle. But I think he's Argyle's key thing will be to make sure we can keep him in the game, and that can be his creativity is vital for us, I think.
And he of course wasn't playing right at the start of the season either, so it's another example of how Stephen Schumacher has kind of been constantly rejigging the team and making sure that whatever the options he has, he's putting out the best.
Yeah, right across the season there's been challenges, as all clubs I guess experience in terms of injuries, but it does feel like Argyle at most points have had the right players to kind of plug the gaps and do more than plug the gap, because that would be really unfair. But the players that have come in, I think, have shown their qualities and really staked a claim for their own positions in the team. Yeah,
I suppose really all we need to see a little bit more of now is some of the new signings that Stephen's made, because we haven't seen them too much, very briefly, but I suppose that would possibly just be the next kind of layer in rotating the team.
Yeah, I think in lots of ways, whilst it's not necessarily a positive thing for those new signings that have come in to not get a chance, we can see it as a real positive in that it means that the people, the players that are here that have been in the team to start with are really earning their place and keeping those players out of the team. So, in lots of ways, we want that to continue, but we know that we've got that quality to call on if necessary. Yeah,
thank you, Ian. And speaking of how well Argyle are doing and how well the team are gelling together, let's have a little look at where they stand on the league table at the moment. I mentioned before that a win would see Argyle go back into the playoff places. How important do you think that would be for morale, Ian?
Yeah, it's, as we said, we're getting to the business end of the season, and pretty soon the games will run out, and so you want to be in the right place when the games run out, and a win tonight is a really important part of that from Argyle's point of view. We mentioned the kind of toughness of the running that we've got in terms of those teams that are in and around us, games against them. So these games in hand that we've been talking about it feels like we've been talking about the games in hand for quite a long time. Here they are. Let's make sure that we make the most of them. Yeah,
quite literally, they are just around the corner. 11 games to go, and the spaces in that portion of the top of the league, they are quite tight. I mean, we briefly spoke about it before we came on air because you were doing a very good job of explaining to me how all the rotations could work. But what kind of things can we expect to see if Argyle win this evening, for example?
Yeah, I think it's Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe that we're able to go past, if we get 3 points tonight. And depends on Sunderland's result, how far up that might put us. But it's definitely a chance to, as I said, let those teams know that we're still right on their tail, or taking some advantage over them at this stage of the season, which I think is vital. Teams will come into form and go out of form at various points, and if Argyle can make sure they're one of the teams that's coming into form at the right time, I think we've got every chance of being in there.
Yeah, and if we dig a little bit further into the nitty-gritty of where the table is looking, I know you wanted to mention about how the points are shaping up, because obviously, it says here that we've had an average of 74 over the past 5 years, and I wanted to know whether you think we might need more points than normal to get into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it's difficult to talk about the kind of, I think, those points that are required, and it will obviously vary from season to season. I think, Argyle have been on a good run so far this season that maybe, we talk about a projected figure, of a certain number of points. I think we have to bear in mind that tough run of games, so there's lots of teams in and around that top end of the table that we haven't played the second time yet. So naturally that might impact on that. But, we had a good run at the start of the season, so who's to say we can't do the same again? Yeah,
and of course there is the pressure that comes with being at this part in the table, but do you think the players will be enjoying having that challenge going into the end of the season?
Yeah, definitely. I think we talked about it, a few games back, in relation to a team that had the opposite pressure at the end, the other end of the table, that pressure of relegation, which is a really horrible type of pressure. I'm sure that Argyle's players will be relishing this. It's competing for promotion, competing for the playoffs is definitely what you want to be doing as a player. So, I think we'll see, great levels of enthusiasm from them and the desire from everyone in the team to keep Argyle in the right spot.
Yeah, this is definitely the kind of pressure that you want to be having as opposed to one that some other teams are facing. And of course, there are 6 other matches happening elsewhere around the league this evening, being played in League One tonight. This is what they look like. We've got Crewe Alexandra versus Portsmouth, Ipswich Town versus Lincoln City, Milton Keynes Dons versus Cheltenham Town, Sunderland versus Fleetwood Town, and Bolton Wanderers versus Morecambe. Now, a couple of games in there that will be of particular interest, like Portsmouth, Crewe Alexandra, Bolton Wanderers and Morecambe. We will, of course, pick those up throughout the rest of the game at half-time and at the end, so we can see how everything shapes up. Right now, though, you are watching Argyle TV, and we are building up here at Home Park for Argyle against AFC Wimbledon. Back to things today. Today is, of course, International Women's Day. Hello to all you international women out there watching Argyle TV, wherever you might be. We at Argyle are always trying to challenge ourselves, staff and supporters, to be aware of equality and help stamp out discrimination. Earlier this week, a conference was held at Home Park which saw a number of inspirational women talk about their experiences in life and work. Argyle women's captain Zoe Cunningham was one of them.
I think definitely football-wise, football has always been perceived by many or most as a male sport. I've always found that if you can separate the two as two different sports, then you can enjoy women's football and you can appreciate women's football. It's hard to compare it to a male game because obviously they're bigger, stronger, quicker, all those things, and it is difficult if you look online at the things that get said about the women's game still. You know, some of it's quite awful actually. So it's just one of those things that's always been a big issue within not just our sport. I'm sure it's the same in all sports, but football definitely. I've experienced that throughout my career. Mostly financial, I'd say. The support, obviously we don't get hundreds of thousands of people come to watch our games. We don't get sponsors wanting to sponsor us because we don't get that amount of support. And I think throughout my career, even from when I was younger, the amount of money I've had to pay, or my parents had to pay, in order for me to be able to play football at a good level has always been a lot. And it's always, even now, I still basically pay to play in fuel costs. We have a sponsor, and they cover our sponsorship fees, but if we don't have that, then we have to pay that ourselves. And so the big thing is financially, but it's difficult if we're not making the money, then where is it going to come from? So. Hard to say. In the last couple of years it's been difficult, obviously, with the situations, but personally, from what I can see, you know, women in sport has grown massively, definitely since I was younger. In the last couple of years, I mean, even at our club, the stuff that we have now is a lot better. The access we have, analysis, S&C, different kind of coaches doing different things with us, like, it's definitely improving. So. Well, I guess you could look at the USA and what they've just achieved in getting a back pay for the women's international team, so that they're getting paid the same as the male team. That's something to look at, but then again, are they making the money to do that? Because you can't just magic money out of nowhere. So I don't really know, it's a difficult one. I think all the clubs in the women's game are trying to improve stuff, but you do see, obviously, the clubs that have more money are the ones, like Manchester United, when they created their women's team, which wasn't that long ago, they created it and they were straight into top flight football, basically second tier, but knowing that they were going to win that league because they just had the men's side had the money to put in, you know. So I don't know, it's a difficult one. I think just a bit more backing. The community-wise, it'd be good if people would just come and watch, come and support the girls. If you enjoy watching football, then you know, it's good to come and watch us play as well. That's basically what we need. We just need more support and backing in order to create, I guess, more of an income for us as a club, so that we can keep improving. At this level, I believe everyone should be at least semi-pro. It takes up a lot of your time, it takes up a lot of your money and commitment to come and play. And I also think our league is improving, so we need more time here, really. We need to be able to train more. We need to be at the facilities to be able to do that, and yeah, I guess it all comes down to financial as well, but that's what I think we need if we want to stay, because the leagues are getting better and they're going to continue getting better. So it's just hoping that the smaller clubs don't suffer with that.
And we will have more from our women's team at halftime, including how they got on their match on a Sunday. For now, though, let's turn our attention over to the academy side. They got their Merit League One campaign off to a winning start last weekend with a 1-0 win over Cambridge United under-18s. Here are those highlights. Oscar Massey scoring the only goal of the game there, 2 minutes from time. It's great to see the academy doing so well, isn't it, Ian?
It is, yeah, and Oscar will be pleased to get on the score sheet. He's one of a bunch of second-year scholars who will be looking to earn professional contracts, so it's kind of the crunch time of their young careers, if you like. Brandon Purcell already in that group, who's had involvement in the first team and has a professional deal already, but for lots of them that's a really, it's a pressured time, that it's, the point where their dreams can come true and they become professional players. So for lots of them, it's the performances at this stage in the season are vital for them.
So possibly scoring that goal means a lot more than just scoring the goal.
It can do, yeah. Oscar scored a lot of goals, as he's come through the age group. So it'll be really important for him to make a claim. Being a striker, obviously, putting the ball in the net is one of the best things you can do. So you'll be pleased with that.
It does help. Thanks, Ian. Darren Way's side are going to be taking on Southend United under-18s at home on Saturday. And last week, the club held an event here where the first team squad showed their gratitude to their individual sponsors and sat down for dinner and a chat here at Home Park. Now, as a club, we are, of course, incredibly thankful to all of our sponsors. And if you would like to get involved yourself with the club, you can find out all the details on the website, pafc.co.uk, or alternatively by emailing commercial@pafc.co.uk. It's that time of the evening where we turn our attention to the opposition now. So let's have a little look at AFC Wimbledon. They are just one place above the relegation zone in Sky Bet League One, and they played Wigan Athletic on the weekend. AFC Wimbledon playing in red. Here, how's they got on? That loss, Ian, makes it 16 without a win for AFC Wimbledon now. That is quite a streak to have, and not the kind of streak that you want to be having.
No, definitely not. I think, their unlucky run has obviously been well publicised, and I think, from their point of view, they'll be absolutely desperate to put an end to that run. I think from Argyle's point of view, whilst it, again, maybe builds expectations of everyone else around the game in terms of, Argyle being the favourites perhaps, but the team needs to just focus on, it's another game, and they're up against, Wimbledon, a bit of a wounded animal, and really wanting to kind of put an end to that terrible run that they're on.
Yeah. How tough will it be for AFC Wimbledon to get out of a slump like that? Because, you get to a certain point where it probably just seems relentless.
Yeah, and I think, it's a psychological battle as much as anything else, and, so a key thing for Argyle tonight would be if they can get an early goal and make Wimbledon's heads drop, that could be really, really key for them in terms of getting the 3 points. From Wimbledon's perspective, they'll come here, I'm sure, and just see it as an opportunity to play in a game that they're not necessarily expected to get much out of.
Yeah.
And so anything that they do achieve will be a bonus on their part.
Yeah, they do always seem to avoid the drop though, having been in the league for 5 seasons now.
Yeah, I mean, as a club, I think they're coming up for 20 years since they were kind of reformed after the original Wimbledon team was obviously moved to Milton Keynes. So
yeah.
it's a great achievement as a club, first of all, to come back up the leagues in the way they have, and they've obviously reached League One level, and they've shown some of the kind of original Wimbledon crazy gang spirit in that resilience to stay at this level for, as you said, a number of years now. So there's no way this is going to be an easy game for Argyle tonight, and they'll have to work really hard to get anything out of it.
But having said that, and looking at the run of results they've had so far, do you think this could be the year that they go down?
It's really difficult to say that, and as we kind of mentioned, in the same way that the top teams get on good runs and bad runs, the same will happen down the bottom of the league. So, there'll be teams in and amongst that bottom four at the moment that will go on a run and that will get them out of trouble, and likewise there could be teams in that the few places above the relegation zone at the moment that get sucked into a real battle come the end of the season.
Yeah. And I guess it's important to mention as well that it won't be a completely easy ride for Argyle, because of their recent results, they are only losing by the odd goal. It's not like a complete washout, is it?
Yeah, they give the impression of being a solid team, not giving too much away defensively. So that creativity that I think we already mentioned from Danny Mayer in particular, and Ryan Broom with his positive forward runs on Saturday, that will be really important for Argyle tonight.
Yeah. How tough do you think it will be for Argyle today going against them?
I think it can be dependent on how they start and whether we're able to get that early goal.
Yeah.
I think that early goal can really open the game up, because it changes the situation, changes the whole kind of perspective on the match for the opposition, where they might be looking to come here, keep things tight and try and nick a goal on a counter-attack, but instead they're going to have to come out at Argyle if they do get that early lead.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at their team for this evening, though, which is coming up on screen for you now. One of the names in the list is, of course, Luke McCormick. Important to mention, not our Luke McCormick, former Chelsea youngster Luke McCormick. 6 goals from midfield. Could be their key player for this evening, Ian?
Yeah, it's really important, when you've got teams that have a threat from deep. So obviously everyone, all clubs will have their strikers up front that are maybe an obvious threat, but from a point of view of maybe Jordan Houghton this evening in that defensive midfield role, it'll be really important that either he's able to track runners as they come from deep, or communicate effectively with the defenders and pass the players on, so that they're not getting a free run into, in behind Argyle or in on goal.
Yeah. And also on the list there is Ayub Asal. He's being talked about as a key player for them. I see written here he's classed as skillful, he's a tricky player. How do you think Argyle are going to deal with somebody that plays like that? Yeah,
he looks like he could be a real threat. So again, it's really important that Argyle stick to their jobs and also double up on occasion. So for example, Gillespie and Grant working together on that left-hand side.
Yeah.
Communication between the back three, to make sure they stay nice and compact and don't leave any gaps in between themselves for balls to be threaded through or for runs to be made. And if Argyle stays solid like that, that's an effective way that you can deal with those sorts of players.
Yeah, and other than their 4-0 loss to Bolton a few weeks ago, they don't generally tend to concede that many goals. What do you think their approach will be coming into tonight? Yeah,
much like perhaps lots of the teams that we've seen here come recently, they may well look to have a solid base, not concede, be sound defensively, and look to take on opportunities to attack, on the counter. Where, for Argyle's perspective, it might be that they are able to have plenty of possession, but it will be really important that they make sure they are purposeful with it, and it's not just keeping the ball for the sake of it, but they look to go forward and create chances with that.
Yeah, and do you think, for Argyle's perspective, it's quite important that they don't take this game too lightly, because of course you don't necessarily want to lose to a team that's come off a massive losing streak, do you?
No, as much as the run doesn't matter, Argyle won't want to be the team that Argyle break their duck against. And I really don't think that from certainly Argyle's management perspective and the players, that they're really thinking about the run that Wimbledon have been on. They'll be focused on, right, what are their jobs for tonight? How can they make sure they get the right result? Don't get me wrong, they'll have done their homework, they'll know about Wimbledon, they'll know their tactics and their key players, but it will be about them putting their game plan into action once the whistle blows.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much again, Ian, for being on Argyle TV. You've got to now run over to the other side of the stadium to start your commentary with Rob McNichol, so thank you very much.
I will
leave you to head over there. For those of you watching, wherever you are, please make sure you get in touch with us on social media. I would love to hear from you. At Only One Argyle is the Twitter handle. I almost forgot it, which you'd think I wouldn't, because it's the only one they let me have access to. So at Only One Argyle on Twitter. Send me a tweet, let me know where in the world you're watching from. We managed to get all the way to New Zealand on Saturday, so would love to hear from you, and we will read out your social comments at half-time. Now, just before I hand you over to Rob and Ian over in the commentary box for this evening's game, we are delighted to let you know that we have teamed up with online food order and delivery service Uber Eats for the 21-22 campaign. They are joining the club as an affiliate partner, and Uber Eats will sponsor our all-new pre-match quiz on the official Argyle app, as well as the brand new Moment of the Month, which you will have seen on some of the Argyle TV episodes we've run previously. And that's on the club's social media channels as well as Argyle TV. And to kick off that partnership, Argyle fans can download the app and you will receive £10 off your first order when you spend a minimum of £15. All you need to do is use the code Argyle10 when ordering. Okay, I'm looking at the clock and I make it almost ready to go. So just another reminder that if you are watching on YouTube, you will need to change over to Argyle TV and you can buy a match pass for £10 this evening to be able to watch the game. If you're already watching this on Argyle TV, then there's nothing more for you to do. Just sit back, relax and enjoy the game. And enjoy, because it is Argyle against AFC Wimbledon, and in the company of Ian Stonebridge and Rob McNichol, you will be in very good hands. It is coming up next.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Home Park for this evening's game, live on Argyle TV between Plymouth Argyle and AFC Wimbledon. Kickoff is approximately 10 minutes away, and Argyle take to the field at Home Park, indeed in front of a beautiful light show, which is perfectly timed for you all. In about 10 minutes we'll be kicking off the football itself, and we'll be looking for some more fireworks on the Home Park pitch after a good 2-0 win at home against Morecambe on Saturday. Argyle looking to continue that good run against AFC Wimbledon tonight.